Okay.
Huh?
Yay!
Yeah.
Welcome to our Thursday book launch. Y'all are in for a treat. I'm going to go ahead and ask people to mute when we are starting so that we don't interfere with the reading once Bob and friends get started. My name is Malaika Albrecht, and I am the founding editor of Redheaded Stepchild. We are gonna open again for submissions in August. So keep that in February. Keep that in the back of your mind if you happen to have a rejection or two. That's all we accept as poems that have been rejected elsewhere. We have had the pleasure of hosting these weekly book launches for poets that have a book out during the pandemic. And tonight we have Bob MacKenzie. And even more than that, we have a very special treat, Bob MacKenzie and Friends. So I'm going to give you a little bit of bio, although I imagine a lot of you all already know Bob. Bob MacKenzie grew up in a photo studio in mid-century rural Alberta with artist parents. His father was a professional photographer and musician, and his mother a photo technician, colorist, and painter. By the age of 5, he had his own camera, and ever since has been shooting photographs, writing poems and stories. Yeah, I did want to ask you, Bob, the cover of this book, is that one of your photographs?
Yes, it is.
I thought so. Yeah,
it's one fabulous. That I shot near my home.
Okay, that's awesome. I love hearing the stories behind that, but I thought that this was your photograph. Raised in this environment, young Bobby developed a natural affinity for photography and the intricacies of language. Bob's poetry has appeared in more than 400 journals across North America and as far away as Australia, Greece, India, and Italy. And this is impressive because this is your 17th volume. Bob has published 17. 17.
Half of them are poetry, the other half are prose.
Yep. So a total of 17 volumes of poetry and prose, fiction, and his work has appeared in numerous anthologies. Tonight, you are going to be hearing a lot more than that. Oh, thank you, Catherine. We are going to turn it over in just a moment, but I did want to introduce Bob's friends, the friends part of this. We have Rainier on the accordion, and then we have B. And B, I wrote you down as vocals. I hope I did you justice. Is that correct?
That's correct, vocals.
Yeah. And then they are live from Roswell rehearsals and Big Thump Audio. So sit back and enjoy. And remember, we will have a Q&A. If you are worried about forgetting a question, you can put it in the chat section or any comments. I will mind the chat section, Bob. You don't have to worry about that. I'll also be sending that to you. And then we are filming this, so I will put this up on Facebook and YouTube. So much for being here, Bob. I want to just welcome you. Yay.
Thank you.
Must be y'all now. There we go.
Are we on then?
Yes.
You are on.
We're on.
Oh, yay. And one of my friends is coming in. Wait just 1 second because she does not want to miss this. I'm sorry. Okay, you're good to go. Good to go.
All right. So we're going to do 3 poems tonight. They're from my new book, Footsteps in the Garden, and they reflect what's in the book, really, those 3 poems. The first is the first poem in the book, also titled Footsteps in the Garden. So it's the title poem, Footsteps in the Garden. When birds go silent, chipmunks and squirrels rush to the underbrush. The wind whispers soft and goes dead quiet, leaving only a vacuum. I can feel them come, the silent footsteps along the forest path, echoing my own steps until I stop and turn, and there's nobody. On the path behind me, there's nobody at all, but somewhere back there, a single tree rustles, though there's no wind, and I walk more quickly. Hurriedly walking home, I can feel someone follow, though when I turn to see, only the empty wooded path and the rustle, until I turn to walk again. At home, I lock the gate, cross the garden quickly, go in and lock the door, breathe a sigh of relief, but in the silence, I hear footsteps in the garden. This is Black Rain. Though there's no way to confirm, they say this storm began on the other side of the world, perhaps in Fukushima or Israel, spread rapidly, wrapping everything everywhere in darkness. A squirrel has died above the ceiling tiles in the hallway outside my office. There are hundreds everywhere, huge black flies. For so long, the storm has not abated. I've lost track of the days spent under these black clouds of ash and the heavy rain they bring with them. The streets have become rivers. Only the most courageous and the foolish venture out. From the window in my office, I see bodies in the streets whenever the fire rains from the sky.
Some say it's a sign from some god predicted by ancient prophets, punishment for all the evils of mankind. Others say it's our own fault, abusing the natural order with our science.
It sounds the same to me. All I know is for more days than I can calculate, I've not left this campus, crawling like a rat through the tunnels to other buildings, then back to my office with what food and supplies I can scrounge. There are others too, students and other professors and university staff wandering the tunnels. I do my best to avoid them. In their eyes, there's a desperation I believe will become dangerous. Best to play it safe. Excuse me. In the midst of things. In empty streets of locked doors, shuttered windows, and the dead bodies on flatbeds to be buried, visions of saved souls raised up, fears of the armies of Armageddon. In our time, where is the poetry? There are wolves on the streets. Foxes roam the shores of the lake, and the man who attacked a woman in a racially motivated incident became ill and died a week later.
In this dream, where are the poets?
A man says, "Let us go then, you and I, along half-deserted streets at dusk, alive with lies and metaphors where fog becomes terrifying cats, and I can't follow a line through it, past singers busking in the shadows. A woodworker plays jazz on the porch. A deep black pool opens under me, and I dive in face down on the road, broken by the impact of this dream. Among the falling, darker shadows from which I hear the angels sing. Oh, excuse me. Don't detective me with your smiles. In this time of sad souls and eyes, tellers of tales and erstwhile legends, the new normal conspiracy theory, sirens sing to us day and night in this time of pandemic dreams. From my perch high above the city, I hear more sirens sing every day, echo of death walking the streets, hear waves smash on ancient rocks, smell the stench of the river Styx tower safely alone in this tower. Red lights break the dark like rubies, blood perhaps, not gemstones, but fluid. Life bleeds out everywhere imaginable. Still the sirens sing night and day.
Come join us on the waiting rocks. Come swim with us in the river Styx.
I have seen no three-headed dog, no sensual young ladies singing. Have not tied myself to the mast. Don't believe in myths of sirens. Watch fire trucks and ambulances, blurs of the real below my tower. Birds still sing in my garden. Flowers bloom and plants prosper. Eden at the top of the world. Squalor below, distant as hell. You by me, singing in the garden, sharing wine, is paradise enough. Oasis of the gods in the clouds. Mine is the only rooftop garden. Others have the haven of balconies, dropping in a line to the street. Smells of fire and smoke rise to me. Barbecue or brimstone, I wonder. Where are the poets, the truth speakers, the folk singers, authors and artists, the new prophets recording our era.
Where is the poetry? Where the legends? Where the heroes? Where the ballads? Where the memory the future needs?
A postcard from South America mentions the tree of many lives, speaks of bringing in the sheaves, but there's no rejoicing.
Lives cut short as harvest wheat, young fruits picked before time.
This is not caution, but fear. Danger hides around every corner, walks with the wind behind you, isn't seen until you're caught, and death comes in small doses.
Where can we walk that is safe?
There's little talk of the light. Always the dark fills our days, a shadow over all our thoughts. Without passion or hope, then what? The light fades with the future.
Where can we go that is safe?
This is the time of prophecy. Fire and water and windstorms rage. Plagues ravage every nation. There are wars and rumors of war. Murder is the greatest sacrilege. Relentless death stalks the earth. Seek hope where you can find it. Practice black arts if you wish. Trust magic to carry us through. Invite a friend over for wine. Wear a mask like a harem girl. In all things be safe and well. Oppenheimer feared the worst, the end of the world with a bang. The poet got it right, of course. This is the way the world ends. Cowers in the falling dark with a never-ending whimper. In my perch, high above the city, I hear the soft sigh of fear. Mist climbs the tower like a cat. The silence of gray streets rises. In my garden, a cold wind blows, whispers warnings of end times. This is the cruelest death, the silence of Sunday morning, alone in this private inn. What God has brought this on? The streets below are dead. In my heart, I have died too. Am I real here in this garden? What is dream and what is not? Birdsong has left the garden. Apples are no longer tempting. The woman may have been a dream. A serpent has fled into darkness. Music smoke floats up from mist below. Frail songs of sirens that wake me. Fog-bound buskers, perhaps, after all. Saxophone softened by concrete walls. Hollow echoes of a distant piper. A woman casting her spell in song.
Where are the poets, the truth speakers, the folk singers, authors and artists, the new prophets recording our era? Where is the poetry? Where are the legends? Where are the heroes? Where are the ballads? Where are the memory the future needs?
My home and garden float on the mist. The tower fades away in dawn's glow. I expect Arthur's knights may appear, ghosts out of the mist around me. The woman sings a song from below.
Life is but a dream, shaboom, shaboom.
Mist sets damp on the flowers, on me in my garden alone. Still her voice pulls me away, her voice soft as morning mist.
Join me here on the waiting rocks, swim with me in the river Styx.
It's different inside the house. Woken from a never-ending dream, world without end beyond this door, indoor echoes of a past life. Home has become a fragile thing. I cling for fear of falling off. Matryoshka worlds within worlds, this dollhouse at the center, each room just like the others, each room empty even when full. Empty worlds fade as night falls, a vision seen through the mist. How long since the stream dried up? Windows on the world gone blank, watchful eyes closed or blinded. The system is down and out, radio silent and dead air. Even indoors, I taste the death. I am the master of the mists, sitting on top of the world, a small oasis in the clouds. Unlike the statue in the desert, I am not yet crumbled and gone, my world vanished in the mist. There are rabbits on the lawns. Coons roam the streets night and day. Bats and rats and alley cats. Wild things are taking the city. I see them whenever the mist clears.
In all this, where's the poetry?
The sun shines down the tower, one vacant balcony to the next, ladder to the streets below. My domain, a world without life, wild things and the dead on flatbeds.
In this dream, where are the poets?
Going to hell is a practical thing. The elevator no longer works. Our electric went down long ago. There's rubble in the stairways. This tower is a wretched wasteland. The only way down is to jump. Through this mist, I don't see the sun, yet the light seeps through the net. Sunlight is trapped in rooftop panels. The tower has gone dark without power, rising above the dark streets below. Home, a shining beacon in the sky.
Where are the poets, the truth speakers, the folk singers, the authors and artists, the new prophets recording our era? Where is the poetry? Where the legends? Where the heroes? Where the ballads? Where the memory the future needs?
Looking at the dark streets below, I am God up here in my small heaven. Above, I see only black nothing. I'm a speck, waiting some rough beast slouching down this infinite well across my garden as shadows fall. What shall be left for me, I wonder, when the gatherer comes to my door? Shall he carry cross or sickle? Shall he come in black or white? Will he take me down the elevator? Will I rise in passion skyward? We dig and find ancient cultures famed for their beauty and wisdom. What will the future find of us? Death, perhaps, and erased peoples. Even Pompeii's streets bore life.
In the end, what will we have left?
My worst fears are imagined. A movement not seen but sensed, a footfall or a creaking door, threatening voices on the wind, danger hiding in the shadows. Mine has become a shadow world. I walk through the garden alone. An uneasy wind whispers threats. Shadows follow along the walls. Who walks with me in the garden? The elevator no longer works. The only way out is down. I stand just at the edge of light. Night's ink fills the city streets. Stars are set in a dark blue sky. So long now since I've seen stars, hid always by never-ending mist. Behind me the shadows remain. Dawn comes over me slow and soft. Mist curtains the sky once more. Shades of night skulk in corners. There is a sense of butterflies, thoughts of birdsong left unheard, a life lived and lost so long ago. The song says life is but a dream. If this is a dream, shall I wake? Will the world be as before? Will there be butterflies and birds? Will there be no shadows following? It comes down to what is real. I loved a girl so long ago in fields of summer glory, walked hand in hand, side by side, shared dreams through starlit nights, till the shadows brought her death, end of our dream, end of my life. Long forgotten in the mist, precious memories come. Woman I loved too long ago, home and children in the city, a peaceful cabin in the woods. I hear myself say, fade to black.
Praise to the poets, the truth speakers, the folk singers, the authors, the artists, the new prophets recording our era. This is the poetry, the legends, the ballads, the stories. This is the memory the future needs.
A canoe along the lake shore. She waves from the cabin dock. Boy and girl wade in the water. Feels good to be coming home. Memory fades into the mist. In my hand, I feel the paddle. There's floods in the streets below. On sidewalks, otters play games. In deep waters, large carp swim. Beavers gather debris for lodges. Somewhere, I hear a woman singing. On this tower, there's only rain. The siren song calls me home. Falling rain deepens the mist. Even my garden is growing dark. Shadows patrol garden paths. Images from a past fade away. Will this dark rain never stop? The man says, let us go then along half-deserted streets, alive with lies and metaphors, where fog becomes terrifying, and I can't find my way through it, though I hear the sirens singing. How I long for all this to end, to follow a song into the mist, the welcoming arms of the dark, a home outside this nightmare, world of fears and shadows, to sleep, perhaps forever. Sleep comes to me like drowning, drawn into deeper waters, the song of the woman calling.
Meet me where the ferry meets, come swim with me in the river.
She draws me under and I drown. A current soothes and carries me beyond dark waters of nightmare into the river Leith and sleep, adrift between time and memory, the song again raising me up from the dark into the light. The soft scent of warm earth, a chorus of birds singing, morning and the sun shining, warmth on my eyes waking me where I slept under a tree, not a cloud dark overhead. A field of summer glory, wildflowers in the sunshine, prairie grasses and blue sky, a girl I love from long ago, walking slowly toward me, and I walk, then run to her. They say life is like a dream. We meet in slow motion like that. She holds me close, and I hold her. Without talk, we share our thoughts of home and life with each other. Walk hand in hand into the mist.
Praise to the poets, the truth speakers, the folk singers, the authors and artists, the new prophets recording our era.
This is the poetry, these the legends, these the ballads, these the stories. This is the memory the future needs.
I'm unmuting. Oh, wow. Thank y'all so very much. People, if you want to unmute, you please feel free to do so. We're going to let Bob get to the other room so we can do questions. And I'm coming into a gallery view that gives us a chance to see each other. That was amazing.
Really great.
Is anybody else by how they work together? Because that's definitely going to be one of my questions. How do y'all come to that? Hey, Chrissy, good to see you. Bob, I'm going to come back to you and spotlight you again, if that's okay.
Yep.
There we go. Fabulous.
There I am.
So a whole bunch of people are writing into the chat section, which you'll see. Lovely performance, Bob and friends. Great job. I thoroughly enjoyed the poems and the performance. That's from Bernard. Just amazing. And one of the first things that I wanted to ask Bob, how did y'all come to create the working together, the weaving in the music and the sound, the vocals and the poems?
Oh, sure luck. No, it took some planning. I have a strong background in broadcasting and a pretty good understanding of theater. And by nature and profession, I'm a programmer. So I'm used to putting things together like that. So it's a matter of first finding poems that I'm able to put together so that they move from one to the other and tell a story rather than three stories. And then from there, I basically write a script that says this person's here and that person's there. And depend, if I have 3 people, I have 3 sets of notations. If I have 10 people, I have 10 sets of notations.
Gotcha.
So it's a lot of administration, I guess.
Yes. Somebody wrote in here, did you ever catch Ginsberg with his harmonium? That's a question for you,
No, I
Bob.
didn't actually. I know about it, but I've never seen him playing anything. I'm just speaking.
Oh, that's awesome.
He is an
And
influence, though, especially Haugh.
Anne wanted to say, so glad she found out how to Zoom. And then Vern wrote, truly powerful, so much about our age ending in the hope of creation. So I'm going to let other people to chime in. Just feel free to unmute. We're pretty relaxed here, and ask any questions that you have for Bob.
Bob, I'm not going to, this is Vern, not going to ask a question. I'm just going to tell you something that you reminded me of. It's pretty amazing. I actually had Allen Ginsberg in an apartment in my house for several hours. And he
Wow.
recited a poem, and it was like listening to a radio box speak. His poem came from inside of him in a way that I've never heard anyone like that. So I was pretty privileged. It was just a
Wow.
fluke. It was a fluke. I had no cred, but he was there. That's all.
That's
That's
awesome.
amazing. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Here's another question. What method or criteria do you use to order the poems in your collections? Thanks, Fernand. That's a great question.
Oh, in my collections. Well, I just go through everything I've written and try and pick things that seem to create a theme. I don't start with a theme. I start with just a bunch of poems. Some poets can sit for a year and write poems for a volume. I can't do that. I never could. Because I write for performance, I write one poem at a time. So when I'm making a collection, I usually find themes running through what I write. And so I pick a theme and pull poems that fit the theme. And it's a fairly long process because I might pull 50 poems or something, or 100, and then I'll start culling and pulling out different poems to fit. This is what happened with this book, because I was approached for a book and for a 50-page manuscript, and I said, sure, great, but I didn't have one. So then I had to go through my things and find pieces that fit. And it turned out to be pretty good the way it worked out.
Clearly. And that actually dovetails with the next question that came from Dorothy Ann. How have you found working with your new publisher? Has it gone smoothly?
Oh my, this is such a wonderful publisher. They're great to deal with, and they're fast. It took us 2 months from asking me for a book to me getting the manuscript together to actually receiving it, having it released. Whereas in Canada, literary publishers take 6 months just to accept or reject your work, and then they take 2 years to get it published. Maybe there's some kind of a time warp here that doesn't exist in India.
Not big on deferment of gratification.
I have
No,
a
I'm
friend.
not.
I have a friend in the U.S. who ran into the same thing, a change of editors at a publishing house, and after 19 months, they're like, "Yeah, we changed our mind. We're not going to publish the book."
Oh, no.
Which is
Oh,
just
Oh.
brutal. Yeah. So
That's really good.
Yeah, John, that's
Well,
a no
Dr.
good. And John
Dr.
also
Agarwal
pointed.
at
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Dr. Agarwal at Cyberwit is just amazing. He works with the author all the way through. The book's out. He's still working with me on things, and as opposed to just saying, "Okay, the book's published. Goodbye." So I love dealing with him, and I've never met him. It's all email.
And let's go back to that. Cyberwit has a great reputation, and I love your insights about your experience with Cyberwit. So that's one to write down, people, if you're have a manuscript that you're shopping. And John said, what a fabulous problem to have, you know, being asked for a manuscript that you don't yet have put together. Most of us don't have that
It's
problem,
amazing.
Bob.
That doesn't,
Hasn't happened.
no, that never happens. Never happens. And my last two books were like that. The one from 2018, also, I wrote to the publisher to ask a question about their submission process. And the publisher was, I imagine, aware of me because she wrote back, just send us a manuscript, we'll publish it.
Yeah,
And so I sent her,
awesome.
and that, I mean, that's two books in a row. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Sure is.
definitely is. So I'm going to double check. Do we have anybody that has other questions? Look through the chat section. I think I didn't miss any of them, but I will double check. Well,
Yes,
Bob
I have
had
more
told me,
answers.
say that again.
I say I have more answers.
That's yes, right. That's awesome. That reminded me of Andrew Kordrescu. We saw him in New Orleans many years ago, and he said, "I'm not going to take any questions from the audience and give you answers, but I will read a poem in response." So people would ask a question, he would just open up the book, and occasionally it seemed like to me that the answer or the poem fit as an answer. So I'm glad you're actually willing to talk to us, Bob. That's fabulous. Oh, this is okay. So John had another insight. I almost got the feeling we were watching some apocalypse type films and integrated them into some modern comics or sci-fi novels. Do you want to talk more about that, John?
I'll come off mute first.
Don?
Yeah, so I have a weird background. I wrote a speculative fiction book. I did a poem. It went out to 300,000 homes in a big magazine, and I've never replicated that thing, but I've been working poetry, so I have a background in speculative fiction, and there's certainly a lot of tradition and strength and almost a Jungian power behind dystopias. And we've had a very strange 20 months, and prior to that, we had a very strange 4 years, I guess, for lack of better terms. And it feels like you're kind of integrating the two a bit. Perhaps I'm off.
Did you want to speak to that?
No, that's yeah, that's interesting. Yes and no, but it's I love performing my work because of the feedback I get from audiences, because often they see something that I didn't know was there, and most often they're correct, and so I discover new things about my writing. You're right, and some of it is new to me, what you said, but in general, I write about a world that a lot of people in North America don't live in. And so I go to the street and I go to the downtrodden and I go to the people that are troubled. And I draw, yeah, on, not on science fiction so much as the sources for science fiction. A lot of psychological and sociological research. The Bible's very big. You may have heard a few things in there. And so I'm a watcher and listener. When I can't sit in a room with more people than me, especially a bar or a restaurant, and not hear and see everything. It's like it comes to me all around. It's one reason I can't write in a place like that. But I soak it all up in my head, and I, in a real sense, I don't really write. I write something in my head. I walk around with it. And by the time I sit down at the computer, it's more like I'm transcribing from what's in my head, which doesn't mean I don't carefully select and organize my words, but what I'm writing in terms of content is already there.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm glad you answered that because I was going to ask kind of about your writing process or how you, and so you've answered that question. I think a lot of people who write when they walk have a real good sense of the musicality of lines. And so I'm not surprised that that's one of your methods. Not at all.
Well, a lot of my writing is based on music too. My larger influences are popular music, and especially in some ways popular music of Western Europe in the 50s, of France and Germany. So Bertolt Brecht or Edith Piaf, a lot of their writing, their performance heavily influences my performance, and also what they wrote about influences me a lot. But I also come from a lot of rock and roll and country music and jazz and R&B and the lyrics there. I'm a firm believer that song lyrics are poetry. And yes, there are some that are not bad, but then in what we officially call poetry also has a lot of bad stuff. So I come from that sort of rhythmic thing, and it's why I write to perform. I don't write for the page. If I manage to get it published on a page too, that's wonderful. But it's all written to perform, so that musicality is there.
That really makes sense. I also have to say how much fun it's been to see the different lighting and the camera. So kudos to them as well.
Yeah, I like working with prose.
It's fabulous. I kind of want one here. All right, guys. Well, it's my sense that we're heading towards open mic. And I did want to say that I just have Vern and Anne written down. So
I have one question for Bob. May I
okay.
ask?
Yes, please do.
Yeah. So when I heard the poems, of course, I got the Bible. You had references Homeric, the sirens, and Odysseus, and then now you're mentioning European sort of music, Edith Piaf, and so on. So these in a way assume a certain audience that is familiar with that cultural framework, and that is a framework I share also because of my background, my education, and so on. How do you find younger people relating to that? Because a lot of the younger audiences don't have that framework anymore.
Yeah, that's true. And the other vein that gets in there is poetry. You'll find a lot of T.S. Eliot and Yeats and Blake and different people in my writing too. I think because the things I draw, I want plain English. And so the things I pull out of any of those areas, they can understand at some level. They may not have the schooling, they may not know what I'm drawing on, but they'll still understand something of what I mean. And this has always been my poetic practice too. Very, very early on when I was starting, I decided that I should write in levels so that anyone reading it can get it. So someone who's very erudite will get all of the stuff. But then someone who has no idea about poetry can still read it and get something out of it, still understand it in a way.
I agree with that. I think that happens in your poetry book.
Great.
I hope so.
Definitely. That's the great thing about having multiple layers and meanings and multifaceted, and the nature of the beauty of working with words, the varied meanings that get in there. Oops. All right. Do we have any other questions that I've missed in the chat section? And I now have 4 people for open mic.
Oh, good.
Well, Bob, thank you so very much. That was amazing. And I am really glad that we got to do this on Thursday. Yay.
Well, thank you for having us and for your compliments.
Oh,
And
my
I'm
pleasure.
glad to see that everybody in the audience is friends of mine. So
Oh,
that's
that's
great.
awesome. So you're having a reunion of
Yeah.
friends. Well,
Yes,
I don't think
yeah,
you know
people from
my
Kingston
Christy.
and other places.
We got a couple
don't
of
see
North
Christy.
Kakalaki people here.
Oh, down there.
Yeah, yeah,
No, I don't know her.
yeah.
Everybody else I know.
That's awesome.
Hi, Ted. Ted is
Yay.
muted, so.
Well, I am going to
yeah.
come to you, Vern, and welcome you to Open
Hello,
Mic.
Bob.
You will kick us off.
Okay, I get my poem here. I just have one simple poem. If there's enough time, I'd read more, but that's okay. This is, I like to read poems that I just wrote, even if they're still rough, to kind of get an idea of people's reaction or just how they sound to me. And so this is one that was a couple days old based on something I heard on Twitter. So here goes. It's called Blue Rock. Once in the world was new, too pristine for coin, nothing minted. People grabbed objects and traded them for sustenance. Flash forward to yesterday, millions of years later. We have money now, love of it the root of all evil. A little girl found a blue rock. She thought it was pretty. She rolled it around in her hand, pretended it was a jewel, a truly valuable jewel. Came the sound of an ice cream truck. Ding-a-ling, bring your money and buy your joy. The little girl proffered the blue rock. She had no money. The owner smiled down. Became a small boy in his heart. She wanted a cone. He gave her a sundae. She gave him the blue rock. He gave it back.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much.
That's great. Thank you, Vern.
Well,
I think a lot of people are reluctant to try new poems in open mics, but I think it's a beautiful way to hear the poem. And I like it that some people have poems that they can do that with. I'm coming to you, Anne, next. It might take me just a moment to find you. So
Okay.
speak again and that might help.
Okay. Hi.
Oh, fabulous. There you are. That helps. Thank you.
Okay.
All right,
Hi,
Anne, it's
Anne.
all you.
Bob, that was really great. I'm really glad that I got to tune in and see and listen to you.
Me too.
Great. So you might have heard this one before. It's one I'm the same. I like to perform my poetry. Spoken word is what I like to do. So, and this one is just happened to be on my desk, and I thought, well, I might as well read it. It's called Windswept. And I'm from England, you might know by my accent. And I talk about Haugh, and Haugh is where the Bronte sisters lived. And I lived in a tiny village just near Haugh, and we used to walk over there on a Sunday afternoon. So it's called Windswept. How the wind reminds me of childhood days, walking across the moors towards Haugh. The wind was unique in the way it blew, and I have not felt it anywhere else on earth. It taught me not to brace myself and fight against its power, but to relax and welcome its blowing through me, cleansing the soul blight, bringing pure energy, essence of heaven. At times the wind spoke with a mighty breath, so loudly I thought the whole world could hear. Live your life, I heard, fully until death. Be strong and free, there is nothing to fear. I sensed the wind so strongly possess me. We were one, and within it I could fly, seeing the earth stretched out in majesty, and all the stars and planets in the sky. Somehow those moorland winds stayed in my mind. Nothing since has touched my life so deep. I hope that when I reach my end I'll find I can commit my soul unto the wind to keep.
Oh, it's lovely. I don't think I'll experience
That's
a
great.
breeze the same way tomorrow. Thank you, Anne.
Bob talking about the wind at the beginning just reminded me of that poem. I just had it on my desk. So there we go.
That's lovely. Thank you for sharing that. Catherine, there we go. I see you this time. All yours. Make sure you unmute. Perfect. Make sure you unmute, Catherine. Let me help you.
There, I got it. I think I got it.
You did. You're good.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was just looking at two poems that have to do with gardens, and I live in Burlington, Ontario, so we are finally moving into autumn. And so I thought what I would do, if I haven't lost it entirely, is read, oh dear, I did. Oh, there we go. Okay. So I'm a singer-songwriter and poet, and I have my poems, I have my songs. I think a little bit maybe like Bob has his poetry and his prose. But this is the lyric of one of my songs that also reads as a poem if I leave out all the repeats. It's called Breathtaking Gown. It's the song of my song of the seasons. And it's in the song, in the recorded song, it goes chronologically from spring into summer and then from fall into winter. But because it's fall, I switch it around. Fields that lie fallow are purple with asters. Grasses have dried and stand golden and brown. Corn streamers rustle all crisp in the breezes. Fall is at hand and the leaves are come down. All clear are the dawnings, all fresh are the mornings. The sun sets in glory each night o'er the town. Each sign speaks of winter, but speaks with such splendor that nature greets death in a breathtaking gown. Trees in the orchard are bursting with blossom. Birds have returned and their songs fill the sky. Fields are fresh turned and the grasses are greening. Time for the planting, for springtime is nigh. All dewy the dawning, all misty the morning. The sun sets in glory each night o'er the town. Each sign speaks of summer and whispers it's coming, while nature greets life with a breathtaking gown.
Oh, that's gorgeous. Thank you.
You're
Makes me
welcome.
also want to hear it sung.
Well, I can sing it, but do you want me to sing it?
I actually do. Is everybody okay with that? Because I really do.
Great.
Oh, sure. It's on my EP Celtic Cat with a beautiful arrangement by my producer Chris Burkett, but I also sing it a cappella a lot. Fields that lie fallow are purple with aster. Grasses have dried and stand golden and brown. Corn streamers rustle all crisp in the breezes. Fall is at hand and the leaves are come down. All clear are the dawnings, all fresh are the mornings. The sun sets in glory each night o'er the town. Each sign speaks of winter, but speaks with such splendor that nature greets death in a breathtaking gown. All clear are the dawnings, all fresh are the mornings. The sun sets in glory each night o'er the town. Each sign speaks of winter, but speaks with such splendor that nature greets death in a breathtaking gown. Trees in the orchards are bursting with blossom. Birds have returned and their songs fill the sky. Fields are fresh turned and the grasses are greening. Time for the planting, for springtime is nigh. all dewy the dawnings, all misty the mornings. The sun sets in glory each night o'er the town. Each sign speaks of summer and whispers it's coming, while nature greets life in a breathtaking gown. All dewy the dawnings, all misty the mornings. The sun sets in glory each night o'er the town. Each sign speaks of summer and whispers it's coming, while nature greets life in a breathtaking gown. Ta-da.
Oh, yay. Thank you so very much.
I had to stand up because I get.
I know you totally can imagine. And when I say
Anyway,
imagine,
there you
I
go.
mean, that was lovely. Just
Well,
thank you
that's-
so very much.
That's for Bob's garden path.
Well, that is like magic to me to sing, because my mother used to say that my kids didn't, I wasn't lulling my kids to sleep. They were going to sleep in self-defense. True story. John, I'm coming to you next. And so you're in North Kakalaki too.
I am in Greensboro at this point, a weirdly good town for poetry.
Yes. Oh, it is. UNCG. Of course it is.
Yeah. And I'm going to switch directions, though it's interesting. It's a seasonal poem, but there's a thing I mentioned to a couple folks here online, and where they make posters out of poems.
Oh yeah, Pips.
Yeah.
Poetry in plain sight.
Yeah, I was pleasantly shocked to find that Scuppernong, my local bookstore, had me up between Fred Chappell and Terry Kennedy, both writers that I admire immensely. And
Same.
so-
And congratulations.
thank you. That will never happen again, quite possibly. But so I've got a series of poems that kind of contrast a guy who works in business and isn't exactly loving it, versus some other impulses he has. So this is called Oaring Through Air. It's a bit about the season as well. So take me along through Oktoberfest, crisp weather, toward Kodachrome gold and pine green skylines. Take and teach me your perfect, stately formations, oaring through air. Winter may refuse to release her grip on my glum lump flesh. Sweep me up in long-necked songs, sailing feather sculpted blue air canals, winging below contrails toward warm shared dreams. Take me from this narrow life into your eternal cycle, as one goose becomes all geese, until all our fires burn low.
John, thank you so very much. Yeah, hold up the poster. Pips does a lovely job. Let me come back to you for just 1 second. There we go. Yeah, that's lovely. And Press 53 works with the North Carolina Poetry Society and North Carolina Writers Network to create this. And I was lucky enough just to judge the most recent ones. So I know some fabulous ones are coming out again. Well, thank y'all so very much. Yeah, and people are writing in comment section. Make sure you scroll through the comment section if you just read, because I don't want you to miss a compliment. Robin just wrote, very nice, John. And Edward wrote, thanks to everyone. Great job, have to go. There were quite a few beautiful comments on the open mic. Well, thank y'all so very much for another fabulous Thursday. It's been my pleasure to be here with you. And Bob, again, Bob and friends, thank you. And thank you to everybody who read and everybody that was here. Be well. I will post the video so you can send links and I'll be in touch, Bob, with the chat section and videos. And I want to make sure I get this last little message and then we will sign off. Yep. Oh, thank you, John. It's my pleasure to host. Be well, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.